Is the right one? All right. So I have traced it on my canvas pad there. I thought that was easiest. And I just have some fall colors here. I have out, I realized I used only a tiny bit of white just for the little dots in the eye. For the snout, I used I always want to say parchment, buttermilk. And then I got out some oranges and yellows. These are just our primary yellow. Then some saffron, something kind of they got more goldy with some orange, burnt sienna. I start up here with the background with some yellows moving into a little orange into the burnt sienna at the bottom. And then I took out some browns I had for the bear. I have burnt sienna out for this, but I'll use it on the bear. I've got burnt umber. I've got honey brown. I do like that honey brown color. I'm finding I'm using that a little bit these days. And I will mix maybe, I think I'll get a little Payne's gray out because I may just want to darken or black. I want to darken that brown up a little bit, I think. So I'm going to just take a little tad of black after because as dark as the browns are, sometimes they just not dark enough when I want to do some shading. So we'll take a little black out. And feel free to jump in with questions or comments, please, as we go. And I'm just going to go with a big brush for the background and start. I'm going to go light to dark so that it just is easier with the light color on the brush. I don't have to keep rinsing it to get lighter. So I am going to just shift this over a little bit. Well, let's see. I just kind of like to see the palette too. All right. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to get I do need a little more white, probably to mix with my yellows. Let me get a little white out there. And I'm going to go with just my lighter of the goldy yellows, maybe with a little white. So at the very top, I'm going to start a little bit lighter yellow. This yellow here that I have, I think I used mostly in the scarf and to do a few little leaves on top. I really like that saffron yellow, so that's going to be what I go in next. And you can see those yellows just blend together so nice. I'm going to go around a little bit to my bear. He's brown, so if we have to, touch up, it's not a problem, but I'm going to work top down so I can kind of blend as I go. And I'm going to turn this around. I get a little water. My paint's pretty thick. I put it out a little while ago. Maybe that's why, but I just add a little water to that.
That's the saffron you're using?
Yeah, I started out with this other yellow. It's the cad yellow, and
Uh-huh.
it just looked a little kind of milky. It's okay for the tippy top, but I want to get more goldy and then to the orange. So I'm going to go right down a little more with just the saffron. I went to Hobby Lobby because I guess they're discontinuing Deco Art paints. Um, and I wanted to see, and they were all 99 cents. On the tags, but I think they used to be more than that. So maybe they've marked them down because they're discontinuing. So I bought a bunch of colors. Some of them are very close to one another, but I thought it would give me a good way to see the difference in some of the colors. So I do have some new colors I've been playing around with. I'm going to go right now with the saffron on my brush into the orange. I want to get a little bit of a mix of those two. And can you see I'm just kind of bringing it? I kind of start it a little down below where the yellow is, and then work it up into that yellow. And I have to really look at the video to see because it's very shiny for me, and with the lights on it, it's hard to see, but I could blend it by looking at my video. And I could see here it looks a little weird, but it's a crease kind of in the paper. It's not really the paint that's off. So I start a little bit below and then kind of bring it up so it's not too much orange into that gold. I don't want to lose the gold look.
Cheryl, do you gesso that canvas paper first?
I don't actually, and it seems to be okay. I think it is treated. Yeah, it's got gesso primed already.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at it and it's just I don't know where I got this pad, but it does say primed. 8 ounce primed, 3 ounce unprimed. I don't know what that means, but I don't ever have a problem with it. If I was doing my mixed media pad that I use sometimes, I gesso on top of that because it's more like just paper.
Yeah.
So I'm going right into the straight orange now. But again, see how I started a little below and then kind of bring it up. This has been great because before when I was doing all the samples on stretched canvas, I had no place to put them. And so now I did just buy a bunch of canvas panels, which I like because they're not as flimsy as this. This is sturdy because it's in the pad. This is the last sheet in this one. Um, but it's just nice to be able to store them a little bit easier.
Do you put a, oh crap, what is it called? Uh, okay, you're gonna put it in a frame and you put a mat around it where you take it to
Oh,
try
if you
the
could,
things.
I just do them for samples, but you could certainly put a mat around this and put it in a frame. If you were gonna put, you could put glass over it, anyway, or you could just put it on like foam core board and just stick it onto the foam core board and pop it right in a frame too, just
Yeah,
to
I
give
was
it
just
something
thinking if
stiffer on the back.
you were gonna try to do something like at a craft fair or something, so you could,
Yeah, like this one here, because it's the last page, you could just leave it on this cardboard. I mean, it's pretty heavy and stiff,
yeah.
but just the cheaper, thinner foam core board cuts pretty easy with an X-Acto knife, and even if you had some spray mount or just glue or whatever you wanted to, fasten it down with. I'm gonna get into. I'm gonna wipe this off because I have a little bit of the gold on there. So I'm gonna take just the orange now and into a little bit of the burnt sienna, which is that reddish brown. And I'm going to just get that in kind of that color there. It's a little thinner down here than I'd like, and I want to get it a little darker, so I'll just do a little bit of a second coat when this dries. Because of the
What is the
white,
brand on that canvas pad?
it's Art Alternatives. I really don't know where it came from because it doesn't look familiar at all to me. And I don't see
I'll
a
look it
price
up on
tag.
Amazon.
And it was in Florida here, so I don't remember. I must have bought it last time I was down here. But you can get the canvas pads in any brand at Michael's or Hobby Lobby would work. It might be a Hobby Lobby thing because it doesn't look familiar to me. And sometimes they have their own kind of odd brands there.
I hadn't been to Hobby Lobby in a while. I need
Yeah,
to go look.
I mean, it's not my favorite place, but I mean, it's right around the corner here, so it's easy sometimes. And it gets a little overwhelming because they have so much stuff. I mean, so much Christmas stuff right now. I just can't even believe that they would sell it all.
I doubt they will.
I know, and it's already, like I said, marked down. I mean, imagine how much they mark it up that if already everything is 50% off. I mean,
The Christmas trees are the big thing right now.
oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
I love that little, you could tell your age by how many times you
Oh, I know.
tasted
Isn't that perfect though? It's like so
Absolutely.
true.
Yep.
Just keep putting that silver duct tape on there.
Yep.
And this is pretty much almost all, it's a drying up here, but it's almost all wet. So if you had to, and you wanted to blend a little more, I just do it with a dry brush. I just dry this brush off and I can really softly blend it a little bit. But I do know I want to have it a little darker down here after, so. And I still go, I'm gonna clean this brush off because it's pretty blended, but I still go and add some brush strokes before I add these little leaves. And those little leaves we don't even have to do now. We can do them when we're doing the scarf because we're kind of using those same colors. But I'm cleaning my brush now because I can take now and take some of that saffron again and just sort of give some strokes over the yellow here just to, I don't know, I just like the look of it. Just getting a little bit of light on top of that dark.
He'd be a cute card too.
He would. He's very simple. So I was trying to think of, what would I do with them? But yes, that would be really cute for a card. All right, I'm going to do a little more of this when this is all dry and just deepen a little bit more burnt umber across there on the bottom. Afterwards, it was just a little darker on my original around here. And what's happening now, because it's wet and I go on there, it just kind of pulls off the paint. So we're going to leave the background as it is for now. The scarf will be last. We'll do the bear next. And I do his little snout here just in that parchment. No, I call it parchment again. It's buttermilk. And I do use that color a lot, so I buy the big container of it. But if you don't have it, white with a little bit of your yellow deep ochre or a little bit of your saffron even, you can just get a lighter shade. And watch now, I'll put my hand in it because it is a little wet. But I'm just going to do this little section with that buttermilk color. And then afterwards, we could just paint the little nose. I can almost see the nose right through the paint, but it's just a little oval nose at the top there. So we'll worry about that after. We'll just get this in. So the bear's going to be kind of a lighter brown in the middle. And then I will shade as I go a little bit of the darks, but when I come in afterwards is just do a float of the dark where you see the shadows. So let's get a color we like. So whatever browns you have, you could just go with a lighter bit in the middle. I think I might just do his ears first. The middle of the ears I painted in a burnt sienna. So let me do that first. Let me just do the middle here. And I think I kind of mixed a lot of my browns as I was going along for the bear itself. This is just a tiny, actually, it's just a tiny little section that's going to be really mostly shaded after. And then the rest of him is kind of the same. Let's see, maybe this brush would be good for that. And that's the honey brown, but you could always just mix like some buttermilk with one of your browns. I'm going to start and just get the white covered of the bear with this, and then I'll go back and add some more tones to it. But, I sometimes just want to get the white of the canvas covered. Course, now I'm dying to try to paint him as a little winter bear. Actually, he could be a Christmas bear and then a winter bear. You could put little tiny ice skates on his feet, would be kind of cute. He could be an ice skater too. I'm gonna get a smaller brush to do the little outside edge of his ears. Just waiting for this. This is dry here. It's just down here. It's a little wet. Yeah, I'm gonna just kind of fill in a little bit. You know what I can do? So sometimes when there's these lines that are separating things and you don't want to lose them, I'm gonna fill that in first. And you can always take a little of the dark. Just gonna take a little of the dark. That's just gonna give me a remind me where it's going to be the little line. So it just sort of separates it a little bit. I might do that. I've got it honey brown on the brush. I've taken a little bit of the burnt umber on the same brush. But that'll give me a reminder. I can load it with the little bit of the dark. Just go around these things. Could have done that up here around the scarf too, but let's let that go for now. Now this little this is where the highlight will be on this arm because this arm is behind that belly. So I'm going to just get a little dark in there, and that just saves the line. And I'll just wipe that off now and just go back to filling it in with the honey brown. And here again. So we've got a little bit of the shading in there, but we'll come back after and I can get some lights in here and then we'll get some darks again. Just trying to get into those little nooks and crannies because even on the canvas pad like this, you still have that texture that you kind of have to dig that paint in a little bit. I'm going to go back in now with a little of the dark. I have a little dark on this inside of the leg here. And we actually did a little dark on this side.
He kind of reminds me of Yogi the Bear.
I was thinking the same thing while I'm painting this part because I think the little feet are what's making me think that as well.
I'm glad I ain't the only person.
You are not. I was thinking that maybe not his face so much, but the body, this part of him right here for sure.
Mm,
Needs that little green hat on though.
yep.
Right. And I'm going to use the little brush again for his feet. So he's kind of got the little bit of color on there. It's not, no, we still have to highlight and shade some. But we've got the bear's body pretty much done. And since I did some of the shading, I'm going to go up onto the top and just put in a little bit. So still the brush with the honey brown, and then just I'm taking a little corner of that burnt sienna, and it would just have a little shadow around the scarf here. I'll just soften that a little bit. And I think on the left side of the head, I did the same thing. And again, I am going to come in later and, give a little wash there. I had some little burnt sienna on the bear too, so since this brown is kind of a little wet, I could just take some burnt sienna and just add that here and there. And I think I'm having the same issue down here as because it's wet, I'm sort of pulling off some of the paint, so I think I may just let that dry a little bit before I do much. And this is dry now, so let's go back and just get that a little bit darker on the very bottom. And I'll load it with the burnt sienna because that's kind of the color we ended with. And then I'm going to take a little burnt umber on the edge just for the bottom and a little bit of the side here. I wanted it to be a little deeper color. And I'll get a little burnt sienna in here to soften it. And then I'm going to jump into some of the orange. Kind of work my way up a little bit into those colors, but it's covering just a little better because it's the second coat. I just didn't want all that streakiness under there. And I even did have a little bit of the gold too, the saffron rather, peeking through there. And I'll soften that in. And now I'm going to wash that brush off because I'm getting a little bit of this dark. I don't want to drag that up too much. I'm going to just bring some of the lighter yellow down into it, but I want to use a clean brush for that. There we go. Oops, that was still a little wet. I'll just take a clean brush and kind of clean that up a little bit. There we go. And then again, I'm going to let that dry and I'm still going to put some little brush strokes and then we'll put the little leaves falling all along there. So I'm just going to clean that brush because I really don't need that big brush anymore at all. So we will put that one away. And let's work on this because this is dry now. We'll let him the bear dry, but let me just put a little second coat on the top of that nose in that buttermilk without trying to put my hand in there, my arm. And I'm just going to go down to about here, and then I'm going to get some of that honey brown on my brush. It's just a little bit of a shadow on the bottom of that snout. That's the honey brown. I might take a tiny bit of saffron in there. I'm just getting it a little darker. And then maybe just a little bit of burnt sienna, maybe just on the corner of the brush along the bottom here. And we can put the nose in there too, since we're working on that little section. And I am going to use black, or you could use Payne's Gray. I'll get to a smaller little brush, but because it's a detail area, I add a little bit of water there just to so that we get a nice round oval shape. And it's been sitting out, so it's been a little thick, and it's just a little oval, kind of an oval shape like this. It's up on the right hand part of that nose. When it's dry, we'll put a little blue highlight. But I'm going to get, I think this brush is thin enough to do it if I water the paint down. Just a little line and a little tiny smile on his little mouth there. So it's just a little bit of kind of an there. I won't do the eyes yet because we want to shade our bear a little more. So I think I will just use the honey brown on my brush and then pick up other colors that I want to kind of blend in because it's honey brown on the bear. You know, this will kind of blend in, but the second coat will be nice. You won't see the streaks so much. I like to put a little second coat. Then I have these little, just these little hash marks on him, which I just thought was a cute little touch. I'm going to skip the ears for now. We'll come back to those. And I'm just kind of using little broken strokes just to cover up any place I can see that I can see the canvas showing through. You don't have to go all the way to the edge. I'm going a little bit, but I'm not going to go right to the edge. I want to leave that dark a little bit there. And while this section is wet, I could take a little bit of burnt sienna, get him a little bit more red brown if I want to. And again, use whatever browns you have, as long as you start with something lighter. And you can just get some of these other colors in there. I'll work my way down. I'll disarm here. Oh, I did have a dark on that outside edge there too. So I can do the same thing we did earlier. I could just take the corner into the burnt umber and get a shadow down that side. We'll deepen it later, but at least it's got the little shadow there for now. Get this one a little darker again. Maybe a little bit of burnt sienna on that arm. It's going to be a highlight on the edge here, and it might not be a bad idea to do it while it's wet a little bit now. I'll reload my brush with the honey brown, but I'm going to take a little bit of that buttermilk, and I can, in almost one stroke, just go right up here and get that light edge. I don't want it to be a perfect line, so I can kind of blend that in a little bit. But that arm is probably pretty well shaded and highlighted now. Why don't we go to the other side and do the other one since we're doing arms? Same idea. I'm going to put the honey brown in again. A little bit of the buttermilk. We can come in with the dark and do a wash of the burnt umber where we want the shadows, but it doesn't. I like to do the lighter shade, the lighter highlight with the buttermilk as a wet and wet blend. It looks a little chalky if I just do it as a wash afterwards. And I can get that a little bit of dark in here now. I'll just soften that. You could do a little bit of burnt sienna again in there just to give it a little bit of another shade of brown. I think I need that a little lighter. Just that edge outside there. Okay. Maybe even here a little bit lighter. I like to be able to work wet and wet, so doing just the arms by themselves worked well for that. Okay, now again, we have a lot of streakiness from the original coat. I'm going to get light along here, but let's get a little quick coverage of that brown. I'm going to be brave and do this whole big section. And get a little bit of the burnt sienna in there now. And can just put it in there right with that paint's wet and just kind of soften it in. And we need a highlight down this side of the bear, so we'll get that. I just reload it and get the light on the brush at the same time. I've got it just on the tip of the brush, but I need a little wider swath there of light. So I'm just going to go almost like halfway on the brush there. Just want to have light on that side. All right, I'll get down to his legs here. A little bit extra on his feet. I could switch to a smaller brush, but I'm going to see if I can do it with this. I'm adding a little more burnt sienna again. I get a little burnt sienna. It looks like I have a little burnt sienna on the bottom of his feet. His feet's there. A little darker under his belly and along that side of the leg. Okay, let's let this dry a little bit. Then we'll come in and I could do a little wash on some browns here and there too, but he's got a little dimension and a little shape to him. I'm going to shade his ears. The inside of his ears are kind of dark, so I'm just taking a little flat brush and a little bit of burnt umber. I've had a cold this week, and at the end I get this cough, and if I'm talking a lot like this, then I get into a little coughing fit. I had a class on two classes on Saturday, and both times in the middle I had to like stop because and get some cough medicine because I don't know, just at the end it kind of gets that cough that sort of sticks in your throat. So this is barely anything of the little bit of the inside of the ear, so it's pretty much just the burnt sienna there. Here I've got, burnt umber, sorry. I've got burnt umber on the corner of the brush here. And I've just shaded the inside of his little ears. Sorry about that coughing in your ears. Okay. I'll shade around his snout when I do that wash when this is all dry. I think I can do it with the small brush on his ears though. A little of the honey brown, a little bit of the buttermilk to highlight it. I can just go and just do this. And I guess we need to let some things dry. You know, we can just put a base coat in on his stripes on his scarf. And takes a few coats to get some of the color, and I made it sort of look knit-like. So I didn't really plan it very well, so the stripes aren't all exactly in order and even, but I might try to make it a little more even now. I think I'll start with the saffron for the yellow. I'm going to get a little yellow, light yellow over it, but I'm just going to base coat for now. On the sample, I did the yellow here, but it blends into the background too much. So I think I'm going to make the middle stripe here yellow. And you can see I've got the chisel edge of the brush, and I'm sort of just zigzagging back and forth just to sort of get that knit kind of a texture. And then I'm going to leave I like a maroon stripe here because it's dark where the fold comes over in orange. So I think I'll go right about here again with some yellow. And I think that's all I need for the yellow there. I'm going to go a little yellow here, but see now this is this section of the scarf coming this way. I'm going up and down this way, the way that would fall. And we'll go orange, maroon, a little bit of yellow again. And maybe a little yellow at the bottom. And I could just rinse, I mean, I could just wipe the brush off and go into the orange. I don't really have to wash it off. We're going to do a little orange here. I just want to get a nice crisp edge here. And again, we're going to need a few, probably 3 coats just to get that a little brighter. And I had a little bit of orange across the top here. And I'm going to go right into that yellow with the chisel edge of the brush right down in there. Got a little yellow here. I mean orange. And a little here. So they're not going to be really equal stripes, but it's a knit scarf. Doesn't have to be perfect. And over here, we're going to have it. And I'll do that there. And then I'm going to do a second coat doing just what I did there as soon as that's dry. But I'm going to go and do some maroon now. So I do have, you know how I have a hard time getting good maroons. I have this cranberry wine, but it's almost, I think I'm sometimes almost better just getting my red out and doing some black with it. It just gives me a nicer maroon. I always try to mix it from like a alizarin or a maroon from the Deco Art paints, but it never is dark enough for me. So let's take a little, let's get a little kind of a clean spot somewhere here. So I'm taking a little black into my red. And I get a nice maroon there now. And I'm going to do the same thing. So behind the little scarf that's turned over there, I'm doing that same texture on this side as well. And again, you could use any colors you want for his scarf. I just went all fall, but. And on the outside, I just want to get a crisper line. Gosh, right there, it looks like candy corn.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
A little bit of Halloween still. And the yellow is, I mean, the orange is pretty washed out. That's why we'll do a few coats. The maroon's pretty good coverage just as it is. There, so at least we have that base coated. I think I'll go back now and do some more orange. Just want to brighten it up a bit. The yellow's okay for now. All right, my bear is dry now. And let's see, I think I'll do my wash of my darks just to go over them again. I think I took a little bit of the honey brown after, or the parchment, and almost dry brushed some of it on top. I can kind of just see the texture a little bit of that here and there. Maybe the same thing with some burnt sienna if it needs it. But I'm just going to use a flat brush and just water on the brush. I'm not going to have it dripping, but it's wet. And then let's try the burnt umber. If I need to, I'll add a little black to it, but it might work that way. So I'm just dipping the corner in, and I'm always patting it out. Got a little bit too much water on that brush. I'll just dab that off a little bit. So I know this side of, actually, let's do around the snout. That needs to be done. We hadn't done a shadow there at all. So I'm just going to line up that brush. So it's just the wet brush with just like a side load of. And it's very wet now, so I can go back and forth and get it smooth if I need to. Reload again, and then just pat it off again in this side of the head.
Okay, Pam's gotta show us hers, because I know she always paints with you.
She is painting, yes. Are you
The
ready to
rest
show
of
it?
us are watching.
Are you
She's
ready to
always
show it
painting.
off, Pam?
No, not yet. I'm still
Okay.
doing.
So I'm just going to go all around where we have some of the shading already, just with that wet brush and some burnt umber. And I think it's dark enough. I don't think I need to add black to it. I do have to kind of re-wet it every now and then, reload the paint. And so we did have it here, you can see, but it's not a nice smooth shadow. So that's why I'm just kind of going over it again where I need to. And sometimes I don't want it to look just like a line. I want to have it just a little, a little bit more of a shadow, not just like a thin line on the edge. I did kind of overshoot his arm there a bit.
Excuse me.
Bless you. So down this side, I want it to be a little bit thicker, so I could just kind of walk that in a little bit and get a little more brown there. And I like to have a little brown on the inside of the leg, kind of under this little belly. Sometimes I forget what side my brown is on. There it is. And a little bit of a shadow there on top of the foot. And back around the scarf we should do again. Now you could also just load the brush with the honey brown and put the burnt umber on the edge and do this, but the coverage is pretty good on that. So I'm just doing it as a wash with the shading. And we need a little shadow under that scarf there. Right, I want to try a little bit of burnt sienna in places again. I'm going to water it down a little bit. I think it might be good just as a little bit of a wash here and there. It gives us some texture to his fur too. So I'm just going to give a little bit of burnt sienna. Brush is a little wet, so it's not like dry brushed or heavy. It's just a little bit. You can kind of see that there, I think. A little bit on his feet. I got rather dark with those. These are a little dark. If I can't soften it, I'll take just some of the honey brown and soften that a little bit. I got it a little bit dark in those little spots. And soften that a little bit. I'm going to rinse my brush and just hit it here and there, maybe with some of the buttermilk. Let's see. I don't want it to be too light, so I'm just going to just take a little tiny bit on my brush. Let's see. Over here in the front of his face, man, that's a little bit too bright even. I want it to look more brown than white. So I'm mixing that buttermilk with a little bit of the honey brown, and that's a better shade, a little bit lighter in some places. And again, it's just giving him a little bit of a texture. That got a little too light there. It's so funny how different it looks because I'm sort of looking at it at a weird angle here, but on the screen I can see it a little better. All right, let's let that dry. Let's give him some eyes.
Oh, we're not gonna keep him as a zombie?
No, because Halloween's over, so we will let him have some sight. I usually like to put them on pretty quick, their eyes, but we're still working on
You
his
do.
face.
That's why I was surprised.
I know. I just wanted to get that the way I wanted it, but they're just little ovals for eyes. He has little simple, cute little teddy bear eyes. Could make them round too, I suppose. He's got two little eyebrows. And the highlight, we'll let that dry first. His nose, I didn't take any blue out, but his nose, you know how I don't want to put a white highlighter, gray. So I'm going to just try to get just the teensiest bit. You know what? I don't want to dump it all out. If I just take a tiny bit and mix it with some white, I'll just get a little bit of a light blue. The highlights in his eyes will be white, but on his nose, I just do a little smudge of light blue, really. Right across the top there. The little hash marks will do too, but let's get we can work a little on his scarf. Now I might just do the maroon just a little deeper in just a few spots. So I'll just get to that dark to the maroon again. I'm not going to paint it all over, but I just want to get a little bit of, it's almost like little hash marks on top. And it just gives it a little bit of a, I don't know if you can see. Let me show you on this stripe here. You can see that stripe there, the maroon's a little washy. I don't have to paint over the whole thing. But if I just go up and down with the brush like this, get some dark areas. It just kind of looks a little more like a knit design. I did that already. So then the darkest is coming right out from underneath here, and then just a few lines of that dark. This one was kind of dark to begin with. And then on the yellow, I'm going to just go with maybe just a slightly lighter shade of yellow. So maybe if I take this saffron and take a little white, it's almost the color of that cadmium yellow I had. I just get a little lighter than the saffron. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to just go right on top. I can go into those colors on the side a little bit right on top. It's just going to deepen that a little bit. It's hardly going to, you're not going to see it much, but it will give it a little bit of a second coat. And I like the way it blends into the two colors on the side a little bit. I might do orange again too, just to get it even a little bit deeper. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna just do a little quick second coat, just back and forth, a little bit on the orange, just to brighten it a bit again. It's just slightly brighter. Yeah, just a little
Did you
bit.
put some white in it, Cheryl, or just leave it?
I didn't know the orange. No, I wanted straight on the orange. I just wanted to get it
Okay.
as bright orange as I could. I put a little white in the yellow, but
Yeah.
oh, for the fringe, I didn't do anything too fancy. I just took the buttermilk and I just did little lines. And the designs on him, you could use a brush like this. I sometimes like to use a little bit of a liner to get a little longer line if I can find my thin. I have it looks like a wreck, but it's a pretty good liner for smaller, thinner lines. And I just did little hash lines. You can work top down or however you want. I did some in the buttermilk, I did some in the yellow, some in the browns, the burnt siennas, all the colors, just to, I don't know, just kind of added a little something. You could see them kind of plain here, and then you can see them with the little lines.
Give him some depth.
Yeah, and it kind of just goes with like the movement of all the little leaves falling. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of cute. And I do thin the paint down for this, so it is a little thinner and that's okay. You know, you don't want it to be sticking out and that's all you see. It's kind of subtle. And I just, put a few on his ears maybe. Here I am with this little brush that, yeah, it's okay, I guess. It needs a little bit of a soak in some alcohol. I think it's got some dried paint on it. So on the front of the face, I did that coming down this way, but on the body, I'm going to kind of go down this way.
They don't play very long.
That's pretty, that's too bright to me on that video. I don't know. It's kind of washed. It's kind of thinned down, but I'm thinking when it dries, it's going to be a little lighter. But let me. It looks. I'm going to mix some yellow with the buttermilk by itself. Seems like it's a little bright there. I'm going to mix a little, maybe a little honey brown with it even, just so it is. See, that's just a little lighter. Maybe I'll just go over those best I can. It's just they're jumping out at me too much. I can actually, you know what I can do is on those, when it's dry, is put a little wash of honey brown on them. So a little honey brown mixed with the buttermilk so it's not jumping out at us. And they're just kind of scattered along. Little, kind of almost like little commas or little lines. Yeah, they're blending there more. It's funny how the camera picks it up because to my eye here, it almost can't see it. But on the camera, it looks bright enough. And I'm going to do the same thing with a little orange and yellow. And those, I think, because they're so transparent, we don't have to tone them down. And I will rinse my brush off in between. Let's just try some of the saffron. If we thin that down a little bit, let's see how bright that comes out. If it's too bright. No, it kind of blends. I'm going to put that brush aside till I can clean it up a little bit. So follow the shape of the ear and the front, they kind of just come down. And on the head, we just follow the shape. And I just keep thinning it down as I go. The paint's been sitting out and I just want it to be really flow easily for me. So I just, as I'm loading my brush, I'll just add a little water when I need to. And then I've done some with, it looks like orangey, but let's see, maybe I had a little burnt sienna mixed with it. Let's just do some yellow and then we'll see about those darks. I'm gonna do some burnt umber ones next. I just need a little dark there. was just thinking about like Christmas ideas and thinking so many of the paintings we've done, you could just put a Santa hat on whatever animal it was and could become like your little hat on your bee, Pam.
Yep.
I was thinking, Cindy, of the hummingbird with a little Santa. I mean, any of those little creatures we could put the raccoon with the Santa hat would be cute.
Oh, that would be really cute.
He'd be
And then-
adorable on a gift bag.
Yeah. Yep. That would be cute. All right, let me try the orange by itself. I think I mixed it with some brown, but let's see. No, it might be the orange just with the brown underneath it. It kind of. So whatever colors you have out, of course, you could be using. Again, the top of the head here, those are a little bright. You can see how much more subtle it is here. I'm going to do a little wash over that after, just to tone those first few strokes down. My orange is getting a little sticky because it's been out and there's not much there, but I'll just keep adding water. I don't want to get any more paint out. Oops, that's kind of heavy. So you can kind of see how he's got a little texture on him there. I think we mostly just have the leaves now. Little white dots on his eyes for highlights, just a little. I just did him upper right, just a little dot. And then just little leaves, which I just did with a flat brush. And when you're putting yellow ones up here, they don't show up a lot, but I still do them. And then they will show up more as we get down. And I did use some of my primary yellow now this time. So you can't even really see them, but they're a little bit of a different shade. So I'm going to just put some on here and there. And these are just the little leaf shape that we're just sort of taking a flat brush and just pressing and pulling, press and twist, and you just got little leaf shapes. Since you can't really see them in this color, but I'm just going to, for texture, do that. Put some here and there. As we get down here, you might see them a little more. That's a little bit heavy, but actually putting them on heavy is kind of nice for the texture. All right. Let's try some with just the saffron, and those show up a little bit on the very top. Saffron and some orange will show up a little more too. As we get down further, you'll start seeing them. Look kind of the same on the camera as the other yellow ones, but they are a little different shade. And we can do some orange, which will show up nice up here. I make them kind of go in different directions. Kind of a little like the falling leaves on the witch painting, which I went way overboard and then redid it because I had way too many leaves falling on that one originally.
I loved that painting.
Yeah, that was fun, I thought.
It did not last long.
No?
No.
Good.
There's a gal that does jewelry and her tables are usually right across from me and she goes,
Uh-huh.
okay, so don't sell it.
Did she buy it or?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good. Then I'm going to do some burnt sienna ones. I'm not going to do any burnt umber leaves. The darkest I will go is the burnt sienna. And you can even mix that with a little orange. I'll just add some water. It's getting thick. And I don't mind the darker one here being a little transparent. I'll go a little heavier with it down at the very bottom so that we can see them. That's basically it, you guys. This is a pretty simple guy. I'm thinking he's looking a little lighter in here than here. And let me do that little wash and try to, of just the honey brown, to try to tone down. Yeah, it was just too, those little hashed lines at first were just too bright. And I think I had a bit of a shadow here. Yeah. I think I had a shadow on the bottom of his belly there. I did a little shadow on that side of it too. Anyways, you can never do it exactly the same, but I think maybe a dry brush of some of the. I don't want to lose my little hash lines. But anyways, basically that is our super simple little fall bear. Kind of nice to do something that's a little more simple, right?
Not so taxing.
It's for fun.
Yep.
It's easier for me on the Zooms to have a little bit more simpler one too. But I'm gonna clean. I just got some new brushes, so I'm trying to be good in cleaning them out well, but you know, that won't last. How are you doing with yours, Pam?
Pretty good. Just doing something I forgot
Yeah.
to.
Any questions, you guys, at all, or? It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Cheryl, you could paint him next year at the convention and people would go crazy over him.
You think, because I'm putting my thinking cap on now, because we have to submit our things in January. And
You know, sometimes there's such big, complicated projects there,
I know, I think,
but this would be fun and be so relaxing.
yeah.
I have a friend that was a really excellent painter, and one year we went and she took a class from I'm trying to think of her name. She does all beginner painting, and she said it was the most relaxing night.
Yeah.
Laurie Speltz.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I know her, who she was.
Her
but,
sister just passed away. She's been around forever, but she always does a simple painting at convention. And she said, oh, it was the perfect thing at the end of the day to just have a fun project.
yeah, because it can be a little intense. Like the Luna Moth one was pretty intense, but people did really well with it, I think.
Oh, I'm sure that's beautiful.
That was fun. But yeah, and I have the booklet right here somewhere because I want to go through and kind of look at the ones that like sold out right away and see if there's some sort of theme, like, or you know, kind of what was popular.
But he'd be perfect because he's fall.
I know that's the thing too. So they got to think of the time of year, and I almost, you know, I am gonna paint them up different ways. So I think maybe if you know, I did this one and gave them the patterns for the others just to change it up a little bit, they should be able to paint him pretty simply over again and just put different colors and elements on him.
And since everybody up here seems to be having a bear walking through their
Oh
yard,
my God, that's true. It's very New England thing.
it
We
is.
could put a little bird feeder in his hand, a bird feeder in his hand,
Yeah, like he just stole it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I am now sitting. I bought some wood pieces because my classes this time were all on canvas, and you know, that's not the biggest thing that all of them want to paint on. But I did go to Palmer's was there, and I got a lot of sample pieces from them so I could work up some samples on the wood, and then they would cut all the pieces and even bring them to the convention, or I could have them shipped, but at least it would be some other surfaces just rather than the canvas.
Now, did you have to prep them?
I traced the designs on first.
Yeah.
That's about as far as I prepped. And I noticed like another woman who was next to me, she had a bear design on wood, and she had prepped like even some of the painting for them.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So like just a background of something. I was trying to remember. But yeah, I'm gonna drag those pieces out now when I get a minute and try to design um, something a little different.
And I think because it will encourage newer painters to come.
That's the thing too, because there are people of all levels, I'm sure. I met some real nice people. It was funny. And then my friend George, who I knew him from, he lives in the neighborhood and we grew up from first grade all the way. We went to high school, to the same high school, and both had commercial art together. And he's retired now. And he has, his family was originally from Eastport, Maine. So I was up in Maine this summer and I always say, oh, George, if you're going by, pop in or whatever. So I got a message said, I'll see you on Saturday. I said, oh, George, I'm sorry. I'm going to be in Massachusetts teaching at the convention in Marlborough. I'm not in Maine. And he says, oh, I signed up for your class. So he paid the convention fee because you have to sign up to pay just to go. And then the class, and he just came to my class. Plus, he found he was having eye surgery actually, he had it like a couple weeks ago. So he couldn't barely see. So he came just to like be in the class. I said, George, you gotta at least paint something. So I gave him paints and I gave him all the stuff and he painted along a little bit, but it was so fun to see like a familiar face in the
Oh.
class. So it was good.
It would be really cute to have have a wife bear with him.
Mm-hmm. He could, we could use our imaginations. They could be Pilgrim bears. They could be Santa and Mrs. Claus bears. Yeah.
The spring one's gonna have a picnic basket.
Oh, yes. That's right.
And a garbage can so you can be pulling things out to go in the basket.
Oh.
I was
Pam,
not
let us know
painting,
when you
I
want to
just
show
sitting
off
there
your
doodling.
Right,
painting.
here we go.
Wait a minute, let me make you bigger. Let me make you
Oh,
bigger.
how cute.
Oh, how
Oh,
cute.
He's
Good
so
job.
cute.
Nice job, as usual.
thank you.
He's adorable.
Look at you've even signed it. You're all set to go.
I am set to go. I've been painting full today.
Yeah, so now are your markets more often now because of the holidays, or are they
No,
still
Still every 2 weeks,
every 2 weeks?
but in December, we're going back-to-back weekends because of the way Christmas falls.
Oh, okay.
Because we're
So,
always the fourth Saturday.
Wow.
Well, going to come the Saturday after Christmas.
so Pam, when you go, let's